YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back right after day 3, the final day of the NFL draft. A lot of steals on day 3, a lot of reaches again, and a lot of really good players that I had graded, undrafted. So starting next week, I will do in-depth grades, breakdowns of each team's draft, and see who won the draft. But for this video, just grading out day 3, who's the biggest winners. And I'm going to start with my best 3 picks of the day, and then I'll do my best 3 teams, combining the team's whole drafts here. And then we'll kind of really quick just recap the whole day, my thoughts on any of the players that didn't make or picks of any of the top 3s that I had here. So, yeah, let's get started. But the number 3 best pick of the day was the first one, actually. I gave it to the Cardinals taking Akeem Butler. I thought this guy would be a second-round receiver. During part of this process, I actually thought he could be a late first-round pick, too, just because you don't see a 6'6 receiver, record-breaking wingspan, and runs a 4.48. Yeah, he has some drops, but he'll also win you games with some crazy catches, crazy plays after the catch. So I thought somebody would fall in love with this guy. The Cardinals obviously like him. They take him with the first pick in the 4th round. So, the top 2 are more steals looking deeper into the draft, but this maybe out of today was the biggest impact one. I can see Akeem Butler making a big impact with Kyler Murray right away. So good pick there. Was surprised he went down to the 4th round. Next is going to be Charles Omenihu. The Texans got in the 5th round here. He's going to play defensive end in their 3-4. He got pressure, a lot of pressure this season. You go watch him against Oklahoma. He got after Kyler Murray quite a bit. There was 2 plays in a row. One counted as a sack, and one was right on the line of scrimmage. I don't think he got rewarded a sack, but it was 2 plays in a row, and that's hard to do. Kyler Murray didn't even get touched much this year, him being that good and that them having the best offensive line. So Omenihu really stood out. I thought would be a second-round pick. So the Texans steal him in the 5th round. I think he honestly has potential to get on the field real early, even though he's a 5th-round pick, because he's that talented. So he gets the 2nd best pick of the day for me. And it's hard to pick 3 because there's so many good ones because teams are reaching and getting project guys that are from small schools. So teams end up getting steals even here in undrafted free agency. But number 1 to me is going to be Kelvin Harmon. Yeah, a guy like Akeem Butler was a little higher for me in terms of my receiver rankings. But looking at Kelvin Harmon all the way down towards the end of the 6th round, how do you get him there? Like I don't understand how he lasts to that spot. So insane value. I thought I had a 2nd round grade on him, but I thought it was realistic if he went early 3rd round, maybe even mid 3rd round. But 6 rounds, ridiculous. Adding him with Terry McLaurin and Dwayne Haskins, pretty good. I said multiple times he maybe has the best body control out of any receiver in his class. Watch him on the sideline. And then probably top 3 in the class in hands as well. The reason why he dropped, I suppose, is because the lack of speed, but it's not like he's slow. I don't think it's really a problem when you watch him on the field. And, he doesn't have too many routes inside the numbers. I guess that was DK Metcalf's problem too, but he went 2nd round. So Kelvin Harmon was an absolute steal. I mean, there's a bunch of guys, and we'll recap each pick pretty much real quick, so it would take forever if I spent all day on every pick on day 3. But a lot of good picks, and we'll get to them. But the best 3 day 3s for the teams here in terms of their whole day 3 haul. Number 3, I'll give it to the Bengals. The top 3 was very tight, too. The Bengals get possibly their future starting quarterback in Ryan Finley's and a backup Andy Dalton. And remember, Dalton got hurt last year too, so that's big time. Renner from Arizona State, I thought he had potential to go even all the way up in the 2nd round. I think he has a better pro career than he did in college. They didn't really use him right, in my opinion. Michael Jordan, offensive lineman from Ohio State. They get Travion Williams from Texas A&M. I think a very good backup to Joe Mixon. And Travion was my 3rd best running back in the class, so they stole him. Deshaun Davis from Auburn, kind of a sleeper linebacker, tackling machine. Another running back in Rodney Anderson. And Rodney Anderson would have been top 3 running back, but a bunch of injury problems over the past. So this is where he should have went, but he has a bunch of upside if he stays healthy. And then Jordan Brown, the corner from South Dakota State. So pretty good haul, Really nothing that is crazy value. Like Finley's solid value. Renner, like I talked about, pretty solid value. Travion Williams, solid value. Nothing crazy, but just a long list of guys that definitely fit, definitely help them out. So I did like the Bengals draft. Number 2, it feels like we're always talking about the Redskins, every day of this draft pretty much. The reason I did not put them at 1, and they're still at 2 though, I wasn't a big fan of their 4th round picks actually. Bryce Love, I like his game. Just like we just talked about Ronnie Anderson, he would be a top 3 running back if it wasn't for the injuries, but just constantly coming out of games. And the Redskins got a long list of solid running backs. I know all those guys can get hurt too, but I thought a little early, and it wasn't really a need. And they get Wes Martin, offensive lineman from Indiana, I thought was a little early. So at this point, I'm like, the Redskins are having a real good draft. I'm not really loving it so far, but then they get Ross Piercebacker. Like him a lot. He can play center or guard. Cole Holcomb, who really grew on me over the last couple months, speedy linebacker, can do multiple different things, can get after the quarterback, can play your traditional linebacker. So it's going to be interesting in their 3-4. They're going to use him more of a pass rusher. Really don't know, but I like Holcomb. He's very athletic and, pretty much everywhere. And obviously we talked about Calvin Harmon, maybe the steal of the whole draft, steal of day 3. Jimmy Moreland from James Madison. He's always been a playmaker his whole career. I expect him to continue to do that. And the second to last pick of the draft, Jordan Brailford, who I like a lot. Very consistent, getting sacks, getting to the quarterback. Every time we saw him, he was at the East-West game, he was at the Senior Bowl, and he was just showing up and showing out every time we saw him. And, Oklahoma State didn't really use him right at all times either. So I think with the right team, which could be the Redskins here, he's got a pretty good shot. So I really like the Redskins draft. Started off a little slow today, but they really, really made up for it, and really their entire draft, I still got to really evaluate everyone's entire draft, but I'm sure they'll be up there for me, so I can't wait to break all those down. Number 1 on the day is going to be the Cardinals. We talked about them getting Akeem Butler. That was a big impact guy early on. I think he can have a great career there with Kyler Murray. Then they get Deontay Thompson, who I liked in the 2nd round, and they get him down in the 5th round. Elite range in this class in terms of in the pass game for a safety. He can go sideline to sideline when the ball's in the air. Needs to work on tackling a little bit, but he can tackle on the sideline, hitting people out of bounds. But he's solid. Keyshawn Johnson, so they grab another receiver. Not tremendous value there, but I like Keyshawn Johnson. Lamont Gaylord from Georgia, he can play center or guard. Very solid offensive lineman. He can really make himself, the way into that starting role there early, actually. Josh Miles, another small school offensive lineman. Michael Dogby, I like him late. I like this pick late. I really like him at 3-4 so I was hoping he got drafted from a 3-4 team, and that's what the Cardinals are switching to. And he will actually battle Zach Allen, who I wasn't a huge fan of that pick in the 3rd round. I thought that was a little early. So he actually can battle him, and I wouldn't be completely shocked if Dogby just outplayed him, earlier here in their careers. Then Caleb Wilson was the last pick at the draft, tight end from UCLA. Yeah, I thought he should have went around there, athletic tight end. But overall, as a whole, I really like this. Mainly what stands out from them compared to the 2 other teams was just big-time steals in Akeem Butler and Deontay Thompson. And like I said, some of these other guys can really make their way on the field early. So I really liked the Cardinals, what they did. Just running through the day. Not going to spend too much time on this. We talked about Akeem Butler. We talked about Ryan Finley. Chauncey Gardner, I had some mocks with him going to the Saints in the 2nd round. They get him in the 4th, so that's great. Max Crosby at the 4th pick in the 4th round. I liked him a lot. I thought he would go to more of a 3-4 team, so that's interesting. Anthony Nelson of the Bucks. I thought I wasn't super high on him, but that's right where he should go. One of the top picks, too. Couldn't make the way in the top 3, but very close. The Giants taking Julian Love, corner from Notre Dame. Thought he could have been a 2nd-round pick. So they pair him with Baker. Love that. Kahari Willis, maybe a little early for me. The punter was way too early for the Niners. Kendall Sheffield with the other corners on the board. Sheffield, I think a little early. I talked about Bryce Love being a little early. Justice Hill I like, but how much will he be used? I was kind of afraid NFL teams won't use him that much in between the tackles. They may not, but he's a weapon with the Ravens. Drew Samia for the Vikings. They definitely need offensive line. I thought he could go round 3. They get him in 4. I love the Panthers getting Christian Miller. I had a 2nd-round grade on him, so this is one of the top picks too. Pair him with Brian Burns, looking pretty good there for the Panthers. Titans get Amani Hooker. DB really wasn't the biggest need, but Hooker could have been a late 2nd, early 3rd-round guy, so that's a solid pick there. The Lions take Austin Bryant, the last of the starting Clemson defensive linemen. Solid pick here in round 4. Patriots get Froholt for the guard from Arkansas. Consistent blocker there. You know, it just seems like a Patriots guy. It's a solid pick. Sheldrick Redwine, so the Browns continue to add to that secondary in the draft. Very athletic safety there and could be a playmaker. Seahawks get Gary Jennings. I like Gary Jennings. Thought they took him ahead of some better receivers, but I do like Jennings. I thought the Jets reached a little bit for Wesco, but a hell of a blocker. Was surprised Snell came out the board this early. I do like Snell. Just was surprised just because the lack of speed. The Ravens take Ben Powers, another offensive lineman from Oklahoma. He's pretty solid. Phil Haynes, another solid pick for the Seahawks. We talked about Renner. The Bears got Riley Ridley, one of the better picks in round 4. You know, we thought he can go second, maybe early third. Physical receiver. Bears got a pretty good receiver room over there. The Ravens get another corner. Amon Marshall. They got plenty of corners, but I guess you always can use more. Cowboys get Tony Pollard. I like the fit there. They're going to use him in different ways. They can play him in the slot. I was a little surprised how early he came out the board, but I do like him. Raiders get the long corner, Isaiah Johnson. They definitely need more corners. I like the Chargers getting Drew Tranquill. That was a good fit for me. He's got to stay healthy. If he's healthy, he probably would have been a second-round pick here because he's a do-it-all linebacker. Redskins go Wes Martin. Like I said, thought that was a little early. Steelers grab another DB, Ugo Amadi. So they grab a safety on day 2, Marquise Blair, who's really not a safety. He's more of a box player. He really played 90% of the snaps there. And Amadi was listed at safety, even though it says corner here, listed at safety. But he played in the slot about 90% of the time. So they kind of are looking for those types of guys. Patriots get Jared Stidham, quarterback from Auburn, my number 4 quarterback in the draft. And I had him mocked to the Patriots for a long, long time, if you remember. So that's just the Patriots quarterback. I love it. Very close to making my top 3 there. The Rams take Greg Gaines. Very good nose tackle there. Fits that defense perfectly. John Kaminsky, the Falcons. Falcons, I like Kaminsky as a sleeper. Just didn't think he'd go this early. The Falcons made some, interesting picks throughout this draft, I'd say. Bengals, we talked about Michael Jordan. The Raiders take the athletic tight end Foster Moreau. Pretty solid. Eagles get Sharif Miller. Added that depth. Yeah, I think he was purely a 4-3 guy, and that's who you get there going to the Eagles. On to round 5. We talked Deontay Thompson, Steele. Jags take Raquel Armstead. I love Armstead, his vision, his quickness hitting the hole, but once he's past the hole, I didn't love him so much. He seems to run into a lot of tackles, likes to turn his back at times. So if he fixes that, he can be very good, but I don't know if that's something you can fix. There was a lot of good running backs at the time. One of the more confusing picks here was the Steelers taking Zach Gentry. I was surprised he came out of Michigan. I did not think he had a good year. He's like almost he can't handle how tall he is. It almost seems like, he doesn't have good balance, drops a lot of balls, can't really take too many hits. He has a lot of upside for how big he is, but interesting pick there for the Steelers for me. I had him undrafted, but he does have upside. Seattle takes Ben Burr-Kirven. Based off his play, could be a second-round pick, but he's undersized. The Seahawks will use him in many different ways, though. Solid pick there. The Giants take Ryan Conley, maybe a little early. Colts take Marvell Tell, who I had graded much higher than the safety they took the previous round in Kahari Willis. But Tell, there's rumors saying he can move to corner. I've heard that during this whole process, so we'll see there. But I like Tell better than Willis, so that's interesting. The Bucs take the best kicker in the draft. Too early for a kicker for me. Maybe in the past I didn't really have a problem with taking kickers if they were the better ones in the draft, but just recently, just looking at the kickers taken over the years, it's just kind of scared me because it hasn't really worked out for a lot of teams. But they did get the best kicker in the draft. Lions get Amani Aruarie, the corner from Penn State. There was talk that he could be early third. They grab him here, very solid. Voshan Joseph, a lot of people were high on him. This is about where I thought he would go. He goes to the Bills. Dre Greenlaw, I thought this was way too early. There was some really good linebackers on the board still. The Raiders take Hunter Renfrow, a little earlier than I expected, but that's the type of receiver they were looking for. The Packers take Kingsley Keke. This is about where I thought he would go. I was hoping a 3-4 team would take him and put him at end because I did not think he was a 4-3 end or a 4-3 D tackle, which he kind of played everything there on the Texas A&M D line, and he did go to a 3-4 team, so I really like the fit there for the Packers to see if it works out. The Dolphins take Andrew Van Ginkel, linebacker from Wisconsin. This is an interesting one because I don't think he fits really their defense. I thought he was going to be a 3-4 outside linebacker, maybe converted to a 4-3. So maybe that'll happen here. But his best traits were his pass rush, abilities. So maybe they'll move him to DN, but can he play on the D line? We'll see. It's an interesting pick. Another interesting pick. I did not like this one. The Falcons taking Quadri Olison from Pittsburgh. I thought there was plenty of running backs better, And on top of it, there was a Pittsburgh running back better who didn't even get drafted, Darren Hall, who I like a lot. I thought it was pretty clear to me that Darren Hall was the better Pittsburgh running back. So very interesting one there. We talked about the Redskins taking Pierce Backer, center/guard from Bama. Panthers take Jordan Scarlett, another very interesting one, running back from Florida. To me, he's probably a second-round talent, but 2 years ago, marijuana charges last year or before this past season, which he checked out okay. He played. He had some credit card fraud or something, so he's constantly getting into trouble in different ways. So that scared me, but he's real good. He's a big running back, perfect for behind McCaffrey. This guy stays out of trouble. He's really good. The Browns take Mac Wilson, linebacker from Alabama. Absolute steal here, one of the better picks of the day, close to making it in my top 3. You had a round 2 grade on him. I'm not sure why he was down here. The Broncos take Justin Hollins. This is about where I thought he should go. Very athletic pass rusher will fit in. And the Broncos 3-4 defense consistently force fumbles. I like that too. So a lot of upside for him. Jets go Blake Cashman. Thought he would go a little earlier. Pretty good pick. Cowboys take Mike Jackson, corner from Miami. Physical corner. Solid pick for the Cowboys. Patriots take Byron Cowart. Maybe a little earlier than I thought he would go, but he was a former number 1 recruit, just never figured it out, so maybe he does with the Patriots, so some upside. Ravens take Dalen Mack, solid D tackle. We talked about Amenahu. Vikings take Cameron Smith, linebacker, USC. Did think there was 1 or 2 better linebackers available, but Cameron Smith as a tackling machine should fit into Zimmer's defense. The Patriots take a punter. Maybe one pick I don't really agree with the Patriots, but I guess there's no disagreeing with them. They know what they're doing. The Colts take E.J. Speed. I did not have a grade on E.J. Speed, so that was an interesting one there. The Cowboys take Joe Jackson, defensive end from Miami. I thought that was an excellent pick. He was in the top 100 on my big board. The Cowboys need a pass rush too. Chargers take Easton Stick, a little earlier than I expected. Clayton Thorson, maybe just a little earlier than I expected, but I do like the fit there with the Eagles. It seems like an Eagles quarterback. He'll back up Wentz. Titans take DeAndre Walker. That was a good pick. I was expecting the Titans to maybe even take him a couple rounds earlier, so he's got a lot of upside too because Georgia, didn't always use him as a pass rusher, which he'll be in Tennessee, so he's got some upside. The Rams get a steal too, and David Edwards, another top pick. I thought he can go 2nd or 3rd round. They get him down here. The Browns go with a kicker. I already mentioned my thoughts on drafting kickers, and this is the 2nd best kicker in the draft. Giants take Darius Slayton. Speedy guy, very athletic, did have some drops. Solid pick, but there was some better receivers. Jordan Miller, corner from Washington to the Falcons. I'm okay with that one. Cole Holcomb, we talked about him to the Redskins. We're on to the 6th round. We talked about Cardinals taking Keyshawn Johnson. The Steelers, another very interesting pick for the Steelers. Sutton Smith, edge rusher from NIU. He constantly got production. Didn't play the best competition. Known as undersized. He gets to the Senior Bowl, and the undersized thing kind of shows. In one-on-ones, he's getting pancaked left and right. So kind of scared me a little bit. Thought he would go undrafted. So the Steelers get him here 6. Not a big deal, though. So it's a guy that just constantly got production. Similar style to TJ Watt, just doesn't have his, length or size. So that'd be pretty good learning from him, I guess. Niners take Caden Smith, about where he would go. Saquon Hampton to the Saints, another safety. Pretty solid pick there. The Jags take Gardner Minshew. Was surprised he came off before, Tyree Jackson, who actually didn't get drafted. The Jags take him there. We talked about Gaylord from Georgia. Corey Ballantyne was a sleeper. Thought he would go 7th, though. The Bills take a playmaker in Jaquan Johnson from Miami. Decent pick there. 49ers get Justin Skule from Vanderbilt, about where he should go. Travis Fulgham, sleeper receiver, has some upside. So he's good. Just thought there was better receivers once again. The Packers take Kadar Holman. I thought he was undrafted. I thought Ty Johnson, the Lions, I thought he was undrafted as well. Just very fast. He's got some upside because he's very speedy. Didn't have a whole bunch of production like some of the other guys. The Broncos take Jawan Winfrey, wide receiver, Colorado, injured this past year, but a very athletic receiver. The Titans take David Long. Not a big need. They have a long list of very solid inside linebackers, but I think maybe just too good to pass. I thought he can go a round or 2 earlier. The Browns take Drew Forbes, guard from Southeast Missouri. I thought an undrafted guy. Not a big deal down here, though. The Vikings get a bunch of picks pretty much in a row here. Armon Watts, I like the fit there. This is about where he should have went. Marcus Epps, I actually thought was an undrafted guy out of Wyoming. Isaiah Buggs to the Steelers. Pretty solid pick there. He had a bunch of production for Bama. The Vikings take Ali Udo from Elon, big size tackle, production or upside guy with some time, with some work. So the Vikings definitely need depth at tackle. They got a center and a guard by this time. Packers take Dexter Williams. I love this pick. He's my number 5 running back, so he can battle Jamal Williams for that backup role. I wouldn't be surprised if Dexter Williams was the second string after Aaron Jones. So that was a very solid pick there. The Texans take Xavier Crawford, the speed corner from Central Michigan, about where he should have went. The Jets take a corner as well, Blaishawn Austin from Rutgers. Guy with some upside. Thought he maybe would go 7th. Ravens take Trace McSorley, quarterback, Penn State. I thought he would go undrafted or late 7, but he does fit the Ravens. Definitely fits the Ravens. The Niners go Tim Harris. Definitely a sleeper corner here. He's one of the older prospects, so I guess that was his weakness, but very solid corner from Virginia. They got a lot of good DBs there. Colts go Jerry Green. 7th round grade for me on him. The Chargers go Amik Egbule, linebacker from Houston. Pretty solid pick. Thought he could have went 5th. Chiefs go Rashad Fenton, corner from South Carolina. It's a physical corner. So decent pick there. Isaiah Prince, tackle from Ohio State. Thought a pretty good pick for the Dolphins. He could have went maybe a little earlier. Marcus Green, I thought was an undrafted guy for the Falcons. Seahawks get running back Travis Homer. I thought 7th or undrafted. The Bears, Duke Shelley, corner from Kansas State. I thought undrafted as well. The Redskins take Kelvin Harmon. We talked about him. Ulysses Gilbert, linebacker from Akron, very athletic linebacker, thought late 7. Buccaneers take Scott Miller, wide receiver, Bowling Green State. Undrafted, I thought, for him. DeMarcus Christmas, nose tackle from Florida State. This is, about where I thought he would go. The Bengals take Deshaun Davis. We talked about him. We talked about Ronnie Anderson. Dennis Daly was a good pick for the Panthers. Thought he could have went a couple picks or a couple rounds earlier. The tackle from South Carolina. Cowboys go Donovan Wilson. Wasn't a fan of him. Thought he was undrafted. Chiefs go Darwin Thompson. Yeah, it seems like a Chiefs running back. It's about where we thought he would go there at the end of the 6th. So we'll go to the 7th round. The Buccaneers get Terry Beckner Jr. Expected 7th round. The Chiefs, Nick Allegretti, played center and guard for Illinois. Again, 7th round for him, so it makes sense. The Vikings go Chris Boyd, cornerback, Texas. I thought could go 5th round. One of the better tackling corners of the class. Just needs to work on, laying off the pass interference. So kind of fits the Vikings cornerback group. And he was the duo with Holton Hill last year at Texas, and Holton Hill's on the Vikings but suspended. So I guess they needed a replacement for him for a little bit. Mike Weber, Ohio State running back, going with Zeke. Pretty solid pick there in the 7th round. Derwin Gray, tackle for Maryland, about right where he should go. Didn't have a grade on the Texas A&M backup, so he was an undrafted guy for me. Another undrafted guy to the Browns, Donnie Lewis. I think this is where teams start to get, the guys with some more upside. Didn't have a whole bunch going for them. Kind of a project for teams. So some teams just really want to work with some guys, think they can bring out some potential. The Bears grab their second running back at the draft, and Kareth White, running back from FAU. Yeah, he was a backup too, but he looked pretty good in his chances. I thought he should have got more carries there. So a solid pick for the Bears. Jordan Brown, we talked about him. Isaac Nauta is a solid pick for the Lions in round 7. Second tight end they got. Daryl Johnson, edge rusher from NC-A&T for the Bills. Thought it was an undrafted guy. Packers get Ty Summers. I thought he could have went in the 5th, so a pretty solid pick for the Packers there. Jimmy Moreland we talked about. Tommy Sweeney, excellent blocking tight end for the Bills. P.J. Johnson, I thought was an undrafted guy. Quentin Bell, didn't have a grade on him for the Raiders. Mayock actually stumped the truck if you're watching NFL Network. They didn't have film on him, so that was interesting. Alize Mack to the Saints. I really like that pick. I like the fit with the Saints. It just seems like one of their tight ends, a Drew Brees tight end. Really, he's a do-it-all guy. He stands out most in the red zone. So I think teams were, I had a 4th round grade on him. I think teams were looking for like the flashier tight ends. He's kind of just an all-around tight end. Did not have a grade on the Kentucky tackle for the Giants. Chandler Cox, running back from Auburn, was a sleeper. And then Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin I liked a little better last year, but he's a good ball player there for the Dolphins. Dontavius Russell to the Jags. He's got some upside. The Auburn D-line was pretty good. John Ursua from Hawaii to the Seahawks. They took a number of receivers. Again, I thought there was some better ones on the board here. Terry Godwin, receiver from Georgia. Pretty solid for the Panthers. The Bears take Valdosta State, bigger corner. Just thought he'd go undrafted. Not much on him. The Vikings go Dylan Mitchell, wide receiver, Oregon. I like that pick for them. Jackson Barton, the tackle from Utah to the Colts, about where he should have went. Jalen Jelks to the Cowboys. Pretty good pick here. I thought he could have went maybe late 5th, probably 6th. Good pick. Cortez Broughton, not really used right in Cincinnati. They used him at end. He's going to play D tackle. potential upside here for the Chargers. Rams take safety Penn State, undrafted for me. Caden Ellis, linebacker from Idaho. Yeah, I thought we'd go around 6'7", pretty. A guy they use in multiple different ways, inside and outside rushing the passer. So pretty good pick from the Saints. Chris Slayton to the Giants, about where he should have went. Javon Patterson could have went 6'7" range, so solid pick for the Colts. The Vikings grab another receiver, Olabisi Johnson, wide receiver from Colorado State. Had a 7th round grade on him. We talked about the couple Cardinals picks coming up. The Vikings take a long snapper. I did not have anything on the long snapper, unfortunately. The Rams take Dakota Allen. I think a good pick here in the 7th round. Ken Webster, upside guy, pretty athletic, to the Patriots, the cornerback from Ole Miss. Again, I like the Jordan Brailford pick for the Redskins. And we talked about Caleb Wilson as well. So that's my recap. I wanted to just run that through that real quick there because would have been here all day. But, yeah, those were my winners for the day. I'm going to start next week. I'm going to start talking about my favorite picks of the entire draft in general. We're going to go break down each team's draft haul, see what I liked, what I didn't like. Maybe there was nothing I didn't like or nothing I liked. Grade each team, see who won the draft. So I really don't know who won the draft. In my head, I have teams that I think will be up there, but I really got to break it down. So that'll be starting next week. Maybe we'll do a 2020 mock draft, a way too early mock draft. That'll be fun. So, yeah, still, even though the draft's over, we still got a bit to do, some interesting stuff. Undrafted free agency, we'll try to keep you updated on that on Twitter, maybe make a video on my favorite, the best undrafted free agent signings. I will do that, actually. So, yeah, still some more to do here about the draft. Can't wait for it. Please click that like button, that subscribe button if you didn't do that quite yet. There's our Twitter in the bottom right. We much appreciate if you do any of that. Help us out. Almost to our goal at 20K. Sport's been great. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.